is this brief, mortal life, if not the pursuit of legacy?
Gods, kings, fire, and blood. Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
If you've watched Game of Thrones, by now, you know the Targaryens have a custom of marrying within the family. But why would they do that? I know the simple answer is to keep the bloodline pure, but why did they want to keep their bloodline pure? I have a theory about that. In this video, I'm going to explain the reason why the Targaryens thought they needed to keep their bloodline pure and the source of their 3 magical powers. So stay tuned for that. Greetings lords and ladies, 7 blessings to you. Welcome to Ultimate Book Maniacs, the one stop for book and TV series reviews. George R.R. Martin always has some good reason behind everything he does in the books. When some people started talking about the incest in the comments, it got me thinking, why would George R.R. Martin do that? What reason could he have behind this vile custom? Because it is a vile custom, for both Westeros and for our world. I don't think incest is anyone's cup of tea. So why would he do that? And then some points started clicking in my head. I know I haven't posted my crazy theories in a while, but now I'm back with another crazy theory of mine. So, to understand the Targaryens, or rather all the Valyrians' reason of intermarriage, we need to go back to their origins. The Valyrians used to be a civilization of humble shepherds who discovered dragons layering in the 14 Flames, which is a ring of volcanoes in the Valyrian peninsula. They tamed the dragons with magic and mastered the technique of raising and training the dragons into devastating weapons of war. They also used magic and spells to create weapons like Valyrian steel swords, daggers, etc. Valyrian stories claimed the dragons originated in their lands, but the tales from Asshai claimed that the beasts were brought to Valyria from the Shadowlands. They also claim that the vanished people from the Shadowlands of Asshai were the ones who taught the Valyrians the magic they needed to control the dragons. Melisandre was also from Asshai, and we have all seen her magic powers. So whether they were taught by the shadow people of Asshai or they learned it on their own, we know one thing for sure. The Valyrians became so good at using magic and spells that they were able to command the dragons. In the books, Dany thinks the dragon lords of old Valyria had controlled their mounts with binding spells and sorcerer's horns. Daenerys made do with a word and a whip. She used a whip in the books. So, the Valyrians had 3 types of powers. First, bonding with the dragons. I think the Valyrians used these binding spells to form a psychic bond with their dragons. Every Dragonrider has a psychic bond with his or her dragon. Because of that bond, a dragon can always sense his or her rider's distress or his rider's death, even if they are far apart. I think he might even sense where his rider is, kind of like Rand and you-know-who. Sunfire was able to cross the waters of Blackwater Bay, and he met Aegon II on the desolate eastern slopes of Dragonmont. Septon Eustace even goes so far as to suggest that Sunfire sensed Aegon's desperate need of him. So at the very least, he was able to sense the direction Aegon II was in, if not the exact location. I think a dragon bonds with the person who hatches it. That's probably why the Valyrians started the custom of placing a dragon egg in every Valyrian child's cradle. They wanted to make sure the hatchlings would bond with the next generation of Valyrians. Before the dragons went extinct, Targaryens used to give 1 dragon egg to each child of House Targaryen, kind of like Ned gave the direwolf pups to the Stark kids. Once a dragon has bonded with a rider, that rider will not allow anyone else to ride it while its rider lives, unless the rider is sitting with them too. No rider has ever ridden a different dragon while their current dragon was alive. I'll read a few lines of Dany from the books. You mean to write them? One of them. All I know of dragons is what my brother told me when I was a girl, and some I read in books. But it is said that even Aegon the Conqueror never dared mount Vhagar or Meraxes, nor did his sisters ride Balerion the Black Dread. Dragons live longer than men, some for hundreds of years. So Balerion had other riders after Aegon died, but no rider ever flew 2 dragons. In Game of Thrones, Dany had hatched 3 dragons, and that's probably the reason why all 3 dragons could sense her feelings. But as she said, she can only ride 1 dragon. Whether this bond will remain or not, once Rhaegal and Viserion had taken another rider, remains to be seen. Do you think they will still have a bond with Dany once they've taken another rider? I think that's the reason why only people with Valyrian blood can ride the dragon. Although, just having Valyrian blood isn't enough, as we saw with Doran Martell's son, Quentyn Martell in the books. Quentyn could trace his lineage back to the first Daenerys, but the blood wasn't strong enough, and he failed at taming one of the dragons. So I think this is the reason for the Valyrians marrying brother to sister to keep the bloodline pure. So the magic that gave them power over the dragons would remain strong and would pass on to the next generation. And they needed these dragons. Once the Valyrians have trained the dragons, they began expanding their influence and establishing the freehold with the city of Valyria as its capital. In the early days of Valyria, the old empire of Kis dominated and controlled much of Essos. With the power of the dragons, Valyrians managed to destroy Old Kis and continued their expansion toward the west. It was the dragons that gave Aegon the Conqueror victory over Westeros. Without the dragons, the Valyrians had no military power. Their second power is prophetic dreams and visions. Some Targaryens can have prophetic dreams and visions, like Daenerys the Dreamer. That's probably how they got the prince that was promised prophecy. I have another crazy theory about this prophecy and Valyria, which I'll post soon. Their third power is the power to be immune to heat or harming spells. Dany also remembers the Valyrians using sorceress horns to control the dragons. But just like with the dragons, the Valyrians are the only people who can blow this horn. Euron finds a sorceress horn called the Dragonbinder in the books, which he claims he had found in the ruins of Valyria. According to him, Dragonbinder has the power to control the dragons, and he intends to use this horn to take control of Dany's dragons. However, when one of Euron's men blows the horn, he burns from the inside and dies. When a maester cuts open his body, his lungs were charred black as soot. It proves that a normal human cannot blow the horn without dying, which means the magic in their blood not only gave them the power to bond with a dragon and prophetic dreams, but it also gave them some other powers as well. I think either the very magic the Valyrians used to tame the dragons provided them immunity to it, or they learned or created another spell or a ritual that gave them immunity from the horn's spells, so they won't burn themselves by blowing it. But it's not all sunshine and roses. I think using this magic might have some side effects too. You might have heard that some Targaryen infants were born twisted, like with scales or a tail, or were malformed, like a baby being born with a hole in her chest, etc. There were also a lot of stillborn deaths or miscarriages in House Targaryen. There are way too many instances of these for it to just be a coincidence or a rumor. I used to think it happened because of the incest, but judging by Cersei's children, it might not have been the case. Only Joffrey was mentally sick, but Tommen and Myrcella were okay. And Cersei never had a stillborn or a malformed child. So incest is not the cause of deformity in the infants. I think it might be because of the blood magic that gave them all these powers. Do you remember what blood magic did to Dany's son Rhaego?
There is a price.
You have gold, whatever you want.
Well, this is blood magic. Only death pays for life.
I discussed this blood magic in my Game of Thrones blood magic video. So to summarize, Valyrians used blood magic, which gave them 3 kinds of powers: dragon binding, prophetic dreams, and the ability to blow the dragon binder horn. I think this magic could be passed down from generation to generation, and the magic would especially be strong if the Valyrians married another person with the same blood magic, which would explain why the Targaryens often married with Velaryons, as they were Valyrians as well. But along with the ability, the curse or the side effect also multiplied over time, which is why they could either become really great rulers or be completely mad. Hence the saying, whenever a Targaryen is born, the gods toss a coin. So, what do you think of this theory? Do you think there is a reason behind their custom of marrying within the family? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, share your own crazy theories here. It doesn't matter how crazy they are. We'd love to see your crazy theories too. If you like this video, please hit the like button below, share the video, and subscribe to my channel. Have a great day. Bye bye. See you in my next video.